Yo, what is going on, everybody? Executives here, coming at you with what class you should play in vanilla WoW Legacy servers. So, I'm going to go through almost all the classes today, and I'm going to try and give the highlights and the lows, high points, and the low points of the class. First, I'll start off with Warrior, the class that I play on vanilla WoW. Warrior is fantastic. It is one of the only classes in the game that can use all three specs, meaning arms, fury, and prot are all viable. It's very, very good once you get geared and once you hit level 60. Warrior sucks from level 1 to about 40, and even from about 45 to 60. It's really, really one of the most hardest classes in the game to level, but very rewarding once you get geared. Let me move on to Rogue. Rogues are fantastic. Another good. The perks about Rogues: your stealth, your extremely sneaky, and you do very, very good damage late game. I highly recommend Rogues, but you also have to know that a lot of people are going to play Rogues. Rogues, Warriors, and Mages are the most played classes in vanilla, and I'm pretty sure in retail. So you will probably be competing with raid spots. Same thing with Warrior. You will be competing with raid slots unless you roll prot. Yeah. Priest. Awesome class. Now, priests are pretty much only healers. Unless you get to ZG patch, you will only play a holy priest. Sometimes you can spec into discipline for power infusion, but even then you're going to be holy almost all the way through ZG. So that's a lot of molten core, that's a lot of BWL as a holy priest. Now you do have some of the greatest looking sets besides Pally in the game. You also have Benediction. I would highly recommend playing a priest if you're going to play a healer. If you're expecting to play a priest and go in as Shadow, I would not recommend it. Shamans. Shamans are fantastic. Shamans are horde only. They're also playable by 3 out of the 5 or 6 horde races. You could play Orc Shaman, Tauren Shaman, and a Troll Shaman, with them all having beneficial racials. Now, Shamans, same thing with priests, are only going to be restoration for up until pretty much ZG patch, and then they can become elemental in PvP and enhancement in PvP, but they're still not really good in PvE at all. Restoration Shamans are fantastic because you have Wind Fury Totem, you have Tremor Totem, you have Mana Spring, just a bunch of beneficial stuff that you bring to the raid that a lot of classes do not. Paladin. Paladins are fantastic. Same thing with Priest though, only holy Pallies in raids. If you're maybe at maximum one red pally would be allowed in a raid, but even then that doesn't come until BWL. The reason why you let a red pally in the raid is just for buffs. Pallies have the hands down the best buffs in games. You have Blessing of Kings, 10% to all stats. You have Blessing of Salvation, 30% threat reduction, and you have Blessing of Might and Blessing of Wisdom, 30 mana per second, 30 mana per 5 seconds, and 155 attack power. Now, they're also very kind of boring. All you really do is spam Flash of Light and sometimes a Holy Light. That's about it. But they're a plate-wearing healer, so that means they're super tanky in PvP, very fun to play, and have some of the best-looking sets and gear. Mage. Mages are fantastic. I highly recommend that you play a mage. They're good utility with sheeps and dungeons. They do fantastic damage, and they scale. They're the best scaling class with gear. Once you get fantastic spell power gear, mages become phenomenally better than the other casters when it comes into AQ40 and even ZG with the Bloodvine set. Mages are boring though. Against boss fights, you're literally going to spam one button, which is Frostbolt, and then maybe Arcane Power if it's off cooldown. I played a mage in vanilla, on private servers, and it was fun, but I got bored. I got extremely bored in raids. Once you go to PvP though, if you spec into PvP like an elemental or just a pure deep frost mage, they are fantastic. Because if you play a horde mage, 90% of all the freaking alliance are melee, so you can frost nova, you can ice block, you can blink away. Mages are fantastic in PvP and PvP. I highly recommend them. Warlocks, another fantastic class. You have Summoning. You have improved Imp, which gives HP to tanks. You've got your dots and your curses, like Curse of Elements and Curse of Weakness, Curse of Shadow, whatever it is, Curse of Exhaustion in PvP. Fantastic classes. Also, one of the best leveling classes in the game with Voidwalker. I highly recommend Warlock. Same thing with Mage. You scale phenomenally once you get to ZG and AQ40 with all that spell power and hit gear with the Bloodvine set. Druid. I love Druids, even though I think they're personally very, very clunky in vanilla. Druids are fantastic healers. They bring good innervate spells, and if you level up as Tank Druid, you can even tank Molten Core and BWL as in bear form as a prot Druid. Now, the only thing that sucks is that Boomkins still aren't that viable. They really just do not do as much damage as the other classes, so I would not recommend playing a Boomkin unless you're going to go some sort of hybrid spec for PvP involving Feral and Boomkin. Also, for Druid, really good leveling spec as well because you have healing and you have shapeshift abilities. Fantastic in PvP. I highly recommend you play Druid as well. Hunter, also second easiest leveling class in the game. You do pretty good DPS if you spec into, I think it's Survival or Marksman, I'm not sure. The only problem with Hunter, though, is that you will be needing on a lot of items that other classes use. So for instance, True Strike Shoulders. Both Warriors and Rogues need those. Dalrens, Warriors and Rogues need those. Pads of the Dreadwolf, Delvasar, Cadaverous Armor. Pretty much all of your stuff is going to be rolled against with Rogues and Warriors. And it is very frustrating if you play a Hunter, or vice versa if you play a Warrior or Rogue and you need something and then a Hunter gets it. High skill cap on Hunters. Hunters are completely different than what they are in retail. So if you want a very, very high skill capped class, I recommend playing a Hunter. You've got Trap, Scattershot, Wing Clip. Very, very good in PvP if you know how to play them correctly with Feign Death and stuff. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Thank you guys for watching.